Eric Cantona, Ryan Giggs, George Best, and Alfredo Di Stefano are some of the legends who played the game, but they never kicked a ball at a football World Cup, either because their countries didn't qualify for the biggest football gala, or through injury, or just a bad stroke of luck. And the 2022 World Cup in Qatar would be no different. Some of the finest will miss the chance to showcase their mastery at football's biggest event. Here are our top 10 players who will miss the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. But make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more amazing football content. Number 10. Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Well, Zlatan doesn't need the cup. The World Cup needs Zlatan. But sadly, we will not be able to see him play this year, and people will miss his humorous press conferences. All thanks to Poland's Robert Lewandowski. It all ended when Sweden lost out to Poland 2-0 in a World Cup playoff. Despite having 62% possession, Sweden failed to cross the net. Even Ibra's substitution did not change the scoreline. But you got to admire the guy. He's still hanging up the boots even at the age of 41. After the match against Poland, Zlatan talked about his retirement. The future? I hope to keep going as long as I'm healthy and can contribute. On another occasion, he said that he'll retire when he'll see a player stronger than him. If this is a benchmark for retirement, then he'll surely play forever. Number 9. Erling Haaland. This guy has unleashed his talents and is in the form of his life. 20 goals in the opening 12 Premier League and Champions League matches for Manchester City are unbelievable to watch. Unfortunately, he'll not be seen in Qatar as his home team Norway has failed to qualify, even though Haaland bagged 5 goals in 6 World Cup qualifiers. Fans are utterly disappointed not to see him. You'll be shocked to know that there's even an online petition to allow Haaland to go to the tournament. Some fans demand that FIFA should allow every country to summon Haaland in the tournament for 30 minutes. Well, that's kind of unlikely to happen, and we'll have to wait for another World Cup to see the Norwegian play. But one thing's for sure, a fitter Haaland would be a nightmare for the tired defenders who would come back from Qatar. Number 8. Sergio Ramos. Ramos is a pure entertainer. Exceptional tackles and last-minute headers are the hallmarks of the Spanish defender. He also loves red cards. Well, we'll talk about that some other time. But he's a beast when it comes to the international arena. Ramos is the most capped player in the history of the Spanish national team. He has made the most out of it. The guy has won a World Cup and 2 European Championships. But as they say, all good things must come to an end. Ramos was not in this year's Spanish World Cup squad, despite displaying good form for PSG this season. Maybe Luis Enrique has other plans. No worries though. Ramos would be rooting for his team, but we will miss his presence on the field. Number 7. Mo Salah. We are extremely sorry to break this news to you. Salah is not playing in Qatar. You might be wondering, why? The reason is simple. Bad stroke of luck. Seriously, this has been a heartbreaking year for the Egyptians. At the start of the year, Egypt made its way to the final of the African Cup of Nations against Senegal. After a goalless draw, the match entered into a penalty shootout and footballing gods were not with Salah that day. Salah was likely to take the 5th penalty, but before the 5th round of the shootout, Senegal clinched the trophy. Even more heart-wrenching came a month later. In the final round of the qualifying stage, the two sides met again. And what an irony, the match once again went into the shootout. This time Salah came to take the first penalty, but he missed and Senegal became victorious again. Salah will be waiting at home this time. For a neutral, it's a real shame not to see the magic of the Egyptian forward. Number 6. Riyad Mahrez. Almost no one would have predicted that Leicester would go on to win the 2015-16 Premier League. After all, the club had Riyad Mahrez to dazzle in the league. The lad scored 17 goals and made 10 assists and eventually lifted the trophy. But it's depressing to see that the 31-year-old Algerian will not display his magic at the amazing football grounds of Qatar. Riyad was dedicated to the goal of reaching the main tournament. He scored 5 goals to reach playoffs in the top spot just ahead of Burkina Faso. After a 1-0 win against Cameroon, most of the Algerians thought their team would have a half foot on the plane to Doha. But they were beaten 2-1 in the second leg and were out on away goals. What a shocker! Well, the Algerian captain will be missed in the World Cup. Number 5. Paul Pogba. He is the definition of defensive football. In his full flow, he'll not let you go past him, and there's always a perfectly timed tackle on the way when Pogba is near. The French midfielder was a beast at Juventus, and no one could forget his amazing performances in Russia. Luck, however, is not on his side this year. Pogba underwent surgery in September and he'll miss the action in Qatar. Surely a loss for a World Cup and Euro winner. No Pog boom this year, but France has still a very strong lineup. It'll figure out a way. Number 4. N'Golo Kante. It has been one heck of a journey for Kante. From a garbage collector to a World Cup winner, he's a role model for every one of us. He's also a very humble footballer. No show-offs or bragging, just dedication towards the game. Well, Pogba's replacement was easy to find. The manager was able to include Rabiot in the final 11, but replacing fast-paced Kante has been a nightmare for France. Last month, the midfield maestro got a hamstring injury, and as a result, he's ruled out till January of 2023. This will hurt France a lot as Kante was a key man in France's 2018 Cup journey. Number 3. Sadio Mane. The record for the fastest hat-trick is no joke, but for Mane, it was a piece of cake. The forward scored the fastest hat-trick at 2 minutes and 56 seconds, leaving everyone in utter disbelief. But luck didn't favor him this time. Just 3 weeks before the World Cup, Mane got injured in a game against Werder Bremen. Senegal did include him in the initial squad, but further scans showed that he'll miss the football's biggest gala. We can understand Senegal's disappointment. After all, Mane was instrumental for the reigning African champions. He scored the decisive penalties against Egypt. It's a loss for the game that he'll be absent from the tournament, especially when he's in his prime form. Already, he has scored 9 goals for Bayern this season. Maybe next time for the Senegal star. Number 2. Diogo Jota. Pundits rated Diogo Jota to be a firm support for Bruno and CR7. And if you've seen Jota play, you'll agree with this argument. He's a savior, an attacker with exceptional striking and heading ability. But dark clouds hovered over his head and bad luck came his way. In October, he got a calf injury while playing for Liverpool. The injury did not take surgery, but it did take away Jota's dream to play in the World Cup. His rehabilitation will take time, and with his absence, the chances for Portugal to lift the trophy will be minimized. Still can't say anything if CR7 gets back to his old form, but one thing's for sure. Jota will be direly missed. Number 1. Karim Benzema. What a year for Benzema. A Champions League trophy and the Ballon d'Or for the Frenchman were achievements that few can dream of. Indeed, the pinnacle of his career, but the biggest shock came when during a training for the World Cup, the Madrid striker got an injury. Ruling out a day before the tournament must be heart-wrenching for Benzema. Imagine Mbappe and Benzema up front. It would have been a headache for the defenders. Though Olivier Giroud had filled the gap. But guys, no one can take the place of Benzema. We wish him a very speedy recovery. World Cup will not be the same without one of the best strikers present in the game. So these were our top 10 players who missed this year's World Cup. These stars have exceptional feats to their name. Unfortunately, they'll not get a medal in Qatar. Which player do you miss the most? Let us know in the comment section down below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more incredible football updates.